Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. We're on the island today here for the Policy Conference put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we have with us Jerry Norcia. Jerry is a COO at DTE. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chris, and good morning.
It's
great to be here.
They're always good mornings, as a matter of fact. But the evenings are good because you provide a lot of people with light and heat. That's cool.
Well, we specialize in bringing warmth and comfort to people's homes and businesses. That's what we do.
Well, and you're a warm guy, so it all adds up, right? Let's talk a little bit about DTE because it turned out in the beginnings you sold power, right? You do so much more now, and you're looking into the future at alternative powers and things like that.
Well, it's really a historic time in our industry. A lot of our generation, the way we produce power and electricity, those assets were built in the 40s and 50s. And it's time to retire those assets. And there's new technology. We're going to be moving from coal to wind and solar and also natural gas. And in the process, we get to reduce carbon emissions into our environment by over 80%. So it's a really big deal in our industry, and it's just a really great time to be in our business.
It's interesting because I do a lot in China, and just talking about foreign markets, one of the things I noticed there is that they had cell phones in big numbers before we did. And I realized it's because they jumped over the landline. We were ahead of the world in that.
That's correct. And, that certainly did happen in Asia and is continuing to happen. And I think the abundance of natural gas in our country, which we're blessed with, as well as wind resources and solar resources, gives us an opportunity to really move the way we generate power in the right direction for our customers.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've done a great job over the years, and I want to tell you this, too, because you have an exceptional way of communicating with your customers when there's a problem, and there are problems. This crazy weather we're having now has to be an issue.
Well, absolutely. One of the things we're investing heavily in right now is our electric grid. We're investing about $1 billion a year into our grid, and it's really to make it more resilient as it relates to wind events. We're starting to get a lot more wind events than we used to get. We're also doing a lot of tree trimming. 2/3 of our outages are caused by trees, so we're getting a little more aggressive with our tree trimming practices, as well as putting up poles and wires that are more resilient to wind and other environmental factors.
So tell me about the alternative energy, because for us consumers, we're sitting out here and saying, yeah, they sell the power they sell, and now they're going into other areas. Are they going to sell that power? Are they going to buy some of that power? Because there are occasions when you do. How does this work?
Well, Chris, I got to tell you, we launched MiGreenPower, Michigan Green Power, as DTE Energy, and it's a voluntary green power program where you can really power up with green power as much as you want. And what we'll do is we'll build wind assets and solar assets to support that, and it's a voluntary program. We've had 3 very large institutions sign up already: the University of Michigan, General Motors, and Ford Motor Company, where they signed up for 400 megawatt, a lot of power. It's actually going to support one of the largest wind parks that has ever been built in the state of Michigan. So pretty cool stuff.
That really is. And people are it's very mystical how you transfer power from here to there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. The way we move power around the state is really with wires. Overhead wires. You see some of those tall towers, transmission towers, and our partners ITC help us do that to move power from our wind production facilities to our distribution network. And that involves, as you know, poles and wires and underground cable and all of that. And we're heavily investing in that. So as we rebuild the way we produce power, we're also rebuilding the way we transmit it and the way we move it around the state.
Well, like the problem that the state is facing with roads. You alluded to this, but you guys have to be looking at that with infrastructure that's X number of years old. I suppose you have a program that's chipping away, so to speak.
Well, that's exactly right. What we're trying to do is pace our investments and not get too far behind in terms of backlog, right? So if you let it go for too long, then you've got a huge problem to try and correct. And what we're trying to do is slowly chip away at it and pace it. And the reason we're pacing it is because we don't want to create bill shock for our customers. So we've got a paced program, as well as we got a lot of energy efficiency programs that you probably hear about, where we're trying to find unique and creative ways to save our customers money. We've got one of the largest energy efficiency programs in the country.
All right, let's talk about people now, because everybody is screaming for people right now. How are you guys doing at getting people?
It's tough. It's a really tight economy. I'll give you an example. We've got about 1,200 tree trimmers on our property at any given time, and about 300 of those are from out of state. So we're starting to develop apprenticeship programs, working with the city of Detroit and the state of Michigan to start getting young people into that trade. It's a good trade. You start as a tree trimmer, and then you work your way up to a lineman. And these are really good paying jobs, and certainly jobs you can support a nice family on.
I chair a thing called T3, which is Tri-County Teach, Talent, and Thrive. And we had 3,000 students in to see 70 different companies at Lansing Center and what they do. And you guys were there teaching them how to climb poles.
Absolutely. It's, in our business, it's a lot of what we do is our people do climb poles. They're also working underground on cables and pipes. So a lot of great jobs. I mean, we've got a lot of what I would call office jobs that, are pretty typical: accountants, engineers, information technology people. But our jobs around splicing wire, repairing pipes, hanging wire on poles, those are really good jobs too. And, these apprenticeship programs that you're talking about and exposure to those jobs is good stuff.
Well, anyway, they know DTE and they want to get up that pole, so that should help.
We like that.
Jerry, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Jerry Garcia, COO of DTE, joining us here on the island at Mackinac, here for the policy conference put on by the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm Chris Holman. You're listening and watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network.